All right, hi everybody. I'm Carrie from Inner Spring Yoga, and this is Abby. Abby's in our teacher training program this year, and she will be demonstrating our class today without a chair, and I'll be showing you the options with a chair. You might like to have some props handy if you have them available at home. The first thing that might be nice are some blocks. We have these foam or cork blocks that are designed specifically for yoga, but you can use a stack of books if you have that at home, or I've even heard of people using full rolls of toilet paper as a way to just kind of extend their arms a little bit. So if you have 2 full rolls of toilet paper, you can grab those, or just anything that can add a little bit of length to your arms can be nice. And then another thing that you might like to have handy is a blanket or a beach towel or something of that nature to add a little cushion underneath of your knees, but also to lift your seat for a more comfortable seat on the ground. So I like to fold the blanket so that it makes sort of a small rectangle like this, and then fold it in half again and sit on the edge. So Abby's got hers underneath of her there. That helps to bring the pelvis slightly forward and lengthen the low back, and also get the hips a little higher than the knees. If you're using the chair, you'll want to slide the blanket more towards the back of the chair, and then you're going to sit actually more towards the front of the chair. So rather than sitting all the way back with your back against the backrest, sit more in the middle of the chair with the sitting bones right on the edge of the blanket, and make sure that your feet can be flat on your mat. So go ahead and take a comfortable seat, either on your yoga mat or seated in a chair. And you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Just let your eyelids soften down. And try not to focus on any one point if you're keeping the eyes open. And then either with your gaze soft or eyes closed, just begin to envision yourself with perfect posture. And let your body kind of wiggle and move a little bit to fit into that vision. So the spine is long and tall. The shoulders will be back over the hips. The back of the neck will be long, the chin parallel to the floor, and then the ears stacked up over the shoulders, so the head is back a little more in space than what we're used to. So just continue to have this vision in your mind's eye of what you look like when you're seated in perfect posture, and then let your body start to transform into that shape. Think about sitting tall and proud, as if you are a queen or a king sitting on your throne. And as you're starting to move your body towards this more perfect version of your posture, you might notice a few changes in your breath. As you start to stack the rib cage and the shoulders over the pelvis, the breath will come a little more easy. So just settle into that easy breath. And notice what that's like for you. And there's nothing that you have to do to change or manipulate your breath in any way. We're just noticing. And as you start to notice or detect this change in your breath, you might notice a similar change in the feeling tone of your being. So if there was anything that has been weighing heavy on you, anything that has made your heart or your mind feel stuck or congested. You might notice those feelings beginning to shift. So in a lot of ways, yoga is the practice of aligning the body, the breath, and the mind. And we're just going to stay with this steady and slow, easy breath throughout our practice together this evening. But do maintain some awareness of breathing. So if you notice that your breath becomes labored or it becomes difficult, give yourself permission to find a resting place. Just pause and then rejoin the practice when you feel ready. And if you find that your mind begins to wander away from the breath, and it will, gently encourage it back. So the main project of the practice is just remembering the breath over and over. And stay with that steady breath, and we'll start to link the movements of the body with the movements of the breath. And on an inhale, sweeping the arms out to the sides and up overhead. Join the palms together like a prayer, and on the exhale, bring that prayer all the way down in front of the heart. And just move with the breath as you inhale, reach the arms out and up. And as you exhale, bring that prayer down in front of the heart. Inhale and reach the arms out and up. And exhale to bring the prayer in front of the heart. Good. We'll add on from there as you inhale, reach the arms out and up. Keep the right arm lifted beside the ear, and as you exhale, take the left hand down next to the left hip. You can take to the floor if you're seated, or if you're in a chair, you can hold on to the seat of your chair. And as you breathe in, stretch up through the right fingertips, long side body, and then exhale and lean to the left. And just take a few breaths here, leaning to the left, feeling that nice opening along the right side seam of the body. Notice how changing the posture, changing the shape of your body, changes the shape of the breath. And how it even changes the shape of the mind. So just begin to develop that awareness of body, breath, and mind alignment. And then when you take the next breath in, come back up to seated, reach the right arm up, reach the left arm up. And then exhale to take the right hand down next to the hip or hold onto the seat of the chair. Stretch up through the left fingertips as you breathe in. And then exhale and lean to the right. Again, just start to feel that stretch along the side seam of the body. Feel space between the side ribs. Maybe even notice that there's more space to breathe as the rib cage opens. And then with the next breath in, as you come back to seated, left arm reaches up, reach the right arm up. And as you exhale, we're going to twist to the right this time. So the right hand comes to the floor behind the right hip. The left hand is going to come all the way over to the right knee. If you're in a chair, left hand touches the outside of the right knee. The right hand can come onto the back of the chair or hold onto the seat of the chair. And then take a breath in. If you're on the floor, press the right fingertips down to think about lengthening the spine more. If you're in the chair, pull on the seat or the back of the chair to lengthen the spine. And then just a little bit of a pull on the right knee to help leverage the chest around to the right. So with each breath in, we try to change the shape of the spine, growing taller. And then with each breath out, seeing if we can twist a little bit deeper. Breathe in. And a slow and steady breath out. And take one more round of your inhale and exhale. And then on an inhale, as you release the twist and turn forward, reach both arms out and up beside the ears. And then exhale and twist to the left. So the left hand comes to the floor or the seat of the chair, right hand to the left knee. Inhale, lengthening the spine, and then exhale, turning the heart to the left. So the inhale provides more space, more length, and the exhale, more depth. Breathe in and lengthen, and breathe out and twist. Take one more breath in, and breathe out. And then on an inhale, untwist, reach both arms out and up beside the ears. Join the palms together in a prayer, and as you exhale, bring the prayer down in front of the heart. Now, if coming to the hands and knees is available to you, you'll start to make your way onto your hands and knees. You can use your blanket for some padding underneath of the knees. If getting to the hands and knees is not available, you can remain in your chair. I'm just going to turn mine to the side so you'll be able to see a little better. And we're going to start with a movement called the cow and the cat, making the spine rounded and hollow. Okay? So if you're on hands and knees, you'll stack your knees above your hips and your shoulders above your wrists. And if you're seated in a chair, just maintain that vision of perfect posture. You can reach down and hold on to the seat of the chair, or just rest the hands on the tops of the thighs or the knees. And then as we inhale, we're going to arch the back, pressing the belly forward if you're in the chair, belly towards the ground if you're on hands and knees. And then as we exhale, we're rounding the spine. Okay. So in the inhale, notice that the pelvis tips forward as you arch the back and either press the belly forward or to the floor. And then as you exhale, notice that the pelvis tips backwards to round the spine. And we'll inhale, let the pelvis tip forward, arching the back. Now broaden across the front of the chest. Lift the heart, maybe even look forward or up. And exhale to let the pelvis tip backwards. Round the spine. Take the chin down towards the chest. Stretch the upper back. Do just a few more like that with your own breath. So we'll be going at our own unique pace. But even within our own unique pace, trying to maintain a sense of balance in the breath. So the inhales and the exhales match in their length, but also in their depth. And just allow yourself 2 more full rounds of breath here. And then after that second exhalation, come back to your neutral spine. So you're on your hands and knees again, or in that perfect posture in your chair. From hands and knees, it might be handy to have your blocks or your books or your toilet paper, if that's what you're using. And go ahead and take those underneath of your hands And many of you will want to turn them up to the highest height, but you can adjust the height of the blocks based on the needs of your body. If being on the hands and knees is not an available option, then you're going to come to stand behind your chair with the right foot directly behind the chair and the left foot about 2 or 3 feet behind. From hands and knees, step the right foot forward in between the hands and keep the left knee down. If you're standing behind the chair, you're going to bend the right knee, come into a lunge. If you're kneeling, you're going to let the front of the left thigh drop down towards the floor. So you want to feel a stretch in the front of the left quadricep muscle and in the hip flexor, maybe all the way up into the left low belly. And if you can keep the right hand down on the block or move it to the top of the right thigh, you can even try stretching the left arm up beside the ear. Reaching just the left arm up will give you that long line of stretch from the front of the left knee all the way up through the left pinky finger. Enjoy that stretch for another breath in. And then on the exhale, either take both hands to the floor, blocks, or the chair. And as you inhale, shift the hips back and straighten the right leg any amount. And as you exhale, bend the right knee any amount. And with the breath, go back and forth, straightening the right leg and bending the right leg. So the hips might go back just until they're above the left knee, or you might press the hips all the way back to the left heel as you straighten the right leg. And as you bend the right knee, it might stop when it's stacked over the ankle, or maybe press forward of the toes. So just take a moment and explore all of the available ranges of motion. And then the next time you land with the right leg straight, stay there. You might like to walk the hands back a little further or slide the blocks back a little further. And then inhale as you lengthen the spine. And on the exhale, start to fold forward. So you'll start feeling a big stretch in the back and the outer right hip. The back of the right leg and the outer right hip. Again, just take a few moments, especially as you start to feel some more intense sensation through the movements. And notice how the arrangement of the body affects the arrangement of the breath. And how the arrangement of the breath affects the arrangement of the mind. And when you take the next breath in, lift the torso back up. Exhale and shift back into the lunge, bent right knee. And then take the right knee back to the left, returning to tabletop, or step the left foot forward to the right, returning to standing behind the chair. This time you'll bring the left foot forward in between the hands, or slide the left foot to the center of the chair and step the right foot back a few feet. If you're standing, bend the left knee. And then let the front of the right thigh drop down towards the floor. And then you can keep the left hand on a block or take it to the top of the left thigh. Try reaching the right arm up beside the ear. This will give you a little bit more of a stretch through the right hip flexor, the right side of the abdomen, all the way up into the right shoulder. And take one more breath in. And then on the exhale, take both hands down to the floor, the blocks, or the back of the chair. And move with the breath on the inhale, straighten the left leg any amount, raise the hips back and up. And then exhale to bend the left knee any amount. So this movement might start small, just a little bit straighter, and just a little bit of a bend. And then as you start to warm up the joints, the movement might become more dynamic. So the hips might shift all the way back to the heels if you're kneeling, or the left leg might go all the way straight. And then you might see if you can press the left knee out past the toes when you lunge. So again, just exploring all of the ranges of motion that are available to you. And then the next time that you land with a straight left leg, stay there. You can slide the hands or the blocks back if you need to. Reach the heart forward, make the spine long on an inhale. And exhale, and fold over the left leg. So again, it's the back of the left leg, the left outer hip, maybe even down behind the left knee that you start to feel some sensation. And as we move and sensations become stronger, just notice that effect on the breath and on the mind. And take one more breath in and out. And then inhale and start to lift the torso up. Exhale to come back into the lunge. And then take the left knee back to the right, or step the right foot forward to the left. So if you're on hands and knees, the first option is to stay here with the knees down. Move the blocks out from underneath of the hands. Keep the hips stacked above the knees and walk the hands forward into what we call the puppy dog pose, or the melting heart pose. So you can let the heart sink down towards the floor. Maybe even tuck the chin and let the forehead rest. So that would be option number one. Option number two would be to move into the downward facing dog. So the toes would be tucked under, the hips lifting back and up, and making an upside down V shape with your body. So Abby's demonstrated both of those options. Option number three is to stay behind the chair, take the hands to the back of the chair, and then walk the feet back, stretch the arms out, and let the heart melt down towards the floor. So there's a nice stretch for the shoulders, the upper back. In downward facing dog, or holding on to the back of the chair, see if you can move the tailbone back and then up towards the ceiling. That'll increase sensation in the backs of the legs. Take one more breath in and out. And if you're in the puppy version with the knees down, walk the torso back. Grab the blocks again, take them to their highest height. Step the right foot between the blocks and then step the left foot between the blocks so you're folded forward, standing at the front of the mat. From downward facing dog or from using the chair, look forward. And then just slowly walk the feet forward. When you reach the top of the mat from downward facing dog, you're folding forward into a forward fold. If you're holding on to the back of the chair, you might just bend at the waist, bend the elbows, and make the body into the shape of like a number 7. So the torso's flat like a tabletop, and then the legs are long. If it's okay and you won't lose your balance or get dizzy, you can step a little further behind the chair, release the back of the chair, and fold forward, letting the hands come to the shins or the floor. And then let's keep the knees a little bit soft, so you can put a little balance in the knees. And really let the torso drape over the thighs.
So we want to think about the head being a heavy weight, pulling the spine down in traction. So see if you can feel the weight of the head, creating space between each vertebrae. And it might be nice to nod the head yes, and even shake the head no. And then as you bring the head back to center, let it be heavy. Abby's going to demonstrate rolling up one vertebrae at a time. You'll choose this option if your spine is healthy and you don't have any disc issues or you don't have any bone density issues like osteoporosis or osteopenia. I'll demonstrate how to lift if you do have these disc or spinal issues. You'll inhale, lift the torso halfway, bring the hands to the shins, the thighs, or the back of the chair, make the spine long, and then hinge all the way up to stand with a flat back. Once you reach the top, step the feet a little bit closer together, but make sure you have a wide enough base that you feel secure and stable. If you're using a chair, you can hold on to the back of the chair for support, or we'll release the arms down to the sides in what we call Tadasana, or the mountain pose. And let's just take a moment here and explore mountain pose. It's a lot more than just standing. So we'll connect to the feet first. Just give yourself a moment to rock forwards and backwards on your feet. Shift more weight to the fronts of the feet near the toes, and then shift more weight to the heels. And just a few times forwards and backwards until you feel like you've settled in the place right in the middle. You can feel equal weight just behind the toes and the heel. And then we're going to let our weight sway to the left a little, so you'll be on the outer edge of the left foot and the inner edge of the right foot, and then sway to the right a little. So you're on the outer edge of the right foot and the inner edge of the left foot. And we'll keep that going side to side until you let yourself settle right in the center. So you have equal weight on the outer edge and the inner edge of the foot. You want to try to imagine as if there's a cross drawn on the sole of your foot, that the very center of your foot is where the two lines intersect. And then the weight is balanced front to back and side to side. And then once we have the feet in the proper position, imagine that you're trying to hug your ankles and your shins towards each other. And at the same time, draw the thighs away from each other. Okay? So it's a little bit tricky to squeeze the ankles together and push the thighs away, but it's going to help to rotate the thighs in such a way that it brings your pelvis into a more neutral position. So you might feel that there's more space in the low back, or that there's less of a tuck of your tailbone. So the ankles come in towards each other and the thighs move apart. And then lift the shoulders up towards the ears, roll the shoulders back and down. And just pause here for a breath or two. Notice how your body is aligned. Notice how that alignment affects your breath, and how the breath affects your mind. So we're striving toward balance, that the body, the breath, and the mind are all in a state of equilibrium or balance. Okay, now we're going to shift more weight into the right foot, and then bend the left knee, so the left knee points straight ahead. If you have a chair nearby, you can hold on to the back of the chair. If you know you need assistance with your balance, you can move to a wall. More weight in the right foot, left knee bent, and then spin the left knee out to the left. I'm going to just slide the heel over to touch the inner ankle. Abby will raise her foot either to her shin or to her inner thigh.
So you can take the sole of the left foot along the inseam of the right leg, anywhere from the ankle to the thigh. And if you're not using a chair or a wall for support, you might bring the hands together in front of the heart. If you're using the chair or the wall, you might try holding on with one hand and lifting one hand in front of the heart, and then switching. So now we're striving for physical balance in the body. Notice how when the body is wobbly or it's not steady, it's not balanced, the breath becomes agitated. And when the breath becomes agitated, so does the mind. And take one more breath in. And then exhale to point the left knee forward and lower the left foot next to the right. Now you might like to shift a little more weight into the left foot, pick up the right leg, make some circles with your ankles or shake out the leg a little bit. And then let's see if you can find your mountain pose again. So you might start by imagining the cross drawn on the sole of your foot. See if you can balance your weight right where the two lines intersect. Draw the ankles towards each other, the thighs away from each other. The low back is long, the shoulders are over the pelvis, the ears are over the shoulders. Shift more weight into the left foot, and then bend the right knee. Point the knee straight ahead to start. And then turn the right knee to the right, and I'll again demonstrate heel to ankle. Abby will move her foot a little higher. You'll move your foot wherever it's most comfortable for you, somewhere between the ankle and the inner thigh. So you're holding a chair, the couch, or the wall for support, or bringing the hands together in front of the heart. If you're holding on to something for support, you might practice holding with one hand and lifting one hand to the heart, and then changing sides. So one of the aims of Hatha Yoga is to train ourselves to be in situations where we are unstable, unsteady, or uncomfortable, and still be able to find alignment. So notice how the body affects the breath, affects the mind. And in those unsteady or unstable or uncomfortable moments, seek to stabilize the breath, which will in turn relax the mind. When you inhale, point the right knee forward, and then step the right foot down next to the left. You might shift more weight to the right foot and pick up the left foot. Make some circles with the ankles or shake out the leg. And then we're going to turn to face the long edge of the mat. So we'll turn to face you, and you turn whichever way makes the most sense in your space. If you're using a chair that's easy for you to move, you might move it in front of your mat. Make sure the back legs are on the mat so the chair won't slide away from you, but the front legs can be on the floor. And then we're going to step the feet out wide. And let's test how wide is wide. So we'll raise the arms up to shoulder height. Then look down at the feet. See if you can draw a straight line from your wrist to the outer edge of your foot. So feet underneath of wrists. Keep stepping the feet a little bit wider if they're not already that wide. And then rest the hands down on the waist. We'll start turning the left toes out to the left. So you want the left toes to point towards the short end of your mat. And then look at your right foot and make sure that your right foot is parallel to the front short end of the mat. So the toes are pointing to the long end. And then with the hands on the waist, we'll alternate exhaling and bending the left knee and inhaling to straighten. Exhaling to bend and inhaling to straighten. If you're using the chair, it's just there for support. Instead of holding the hands on the waist, you're holding the hands on the back of the chair. The next time that the left knee is bent, see if you can find a comfortable degree of bend and settle in here. Hands on the waist might help you feel more stable, or you might like to lift the arms up to shoulder height, turn the palms down towards the floor. So now we're in what's called the Warrior Two position. If being in this position is not available to you, or it's hard on your knees, you can use your chair. Again, you'll want to make sure that it's in a place that it won't slide away from you. You'll sit on the chair as we started, in the middle of the seat, and then take the legs out wide. And turn the left toes out to the left, align the knee, the ankle, and the toes with one another, and then slide the right leg out to the right until it's straight. So I'm making the same shape as Abby, only I have the support of the chair for my pelvis and my torso, and I'm not supporting my entire body weight. Here I can lift the arms up to shoulder height, and even turn the neck and the head to look over the left fingertips. So we'll take one more breath in. And then release the hands to the waist. Straighten the left leg if you're using the chair. Bring both legs back together. And then turn the right toes to face out towards the right end of the mat. Turn the left foot so that the left foot is parallel to the short end of the mat. And then with the breath, bend and straighten. So you can again stand behind the chair, practicing your range of motion, bending the knee and straightening the knee. You can bend just a little, or you can bend a lot. And just explore what's available for you today. And then the next time that the right knee is bent, pause there. Find a comfortable depth of bend so that you can hang out here for a few breaths, and then if it feels nice, raise the arms. If you're using the chair, again, come around to sit in the middle of the seat. Take the legs wide. And then turn the right toes out. See if you can adjust so that the ankle and the knee and the toes are all pointing in the same direction. Walk the left leg over to the left until it's straight. Press to the outer edge of the left foot, and then raise the arms and turn the gaze. So Warrior Two is one of the more challenging postures we've done so far in this sequence. Just check with how you're doing, maintaining steady breath and a quiet and focused mind, even as you're being challenged. Take one more breath in. And then exhale and take the hands to the waist. If you're standing, straighten the right leg, turn the feet parallel to each other. If you're using the chair, you're going to keep the feet wide. Left knee is going to come back to a bend. Turn the toes out slightly and the heels in if you're seated. If you're standing, keep the feet parallel to each other. Then inhale, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, start to fold forward. If your blocks are close by and your hands don't easily come to the floor, you could use blocks to touch the floor. You could take the hands all the way down to the floor, or if it's an available option, you could reach out and even hook your first two fingers and thumb around your big toes. And then inhale and extend the spine, keeping a flat back. And exhale to fold forward. If the hands are on the floor or blocks, the elbows might just start to bend straight back behind you. If you're reaching out to hold on to your big toes, the elbows might start to bend out to the sides. If you're holding the big toes, you can even pull a little on the toes for leverage to pull your torso down more. And then on the next breath in, lengthen the spine. If you're holding the big toes, walk the hands back to center. Press to the outer edges of the feet a little more now, and then bring the hands to the waist. Use the strength of the core and come all the way to standing or to seated. And then just toe heel the feet in towards each other. If you're standing, you're going to turn again to face the front of your mat. And we're going to work our way down to the ground. If you're seated, I'm going to turn sideways again so you can see. If you're seated, you're just going to stay where you are. So if you're standing, reach your arms out and up beside your ears. And as you exhale, fold forward. Then on the breath in, lengthen the spine. On the breath out, bend the knees to take the hands to the floor or blocks, and then step one knee back and then the other so that you end up on hands and knees. Good. Let's take a breath on hands and knees. And then either remain seated in your chair or start to make your way down to your belly. And as you come down to your belly, let your forehead rest down on the mat and take the arms to the sides with the palms turning down so that you feel the texture of your mat or of your floor underneath of your hands. If you're using a chair where you can grip the back of the chair, so if you have like some spindles on your chair or you're using a folding chair like this, you want to reach behind and hold the back of the chair. If that's not an option in the chair you're using, you can reach down and hold underneath of the seat of the chair. If you're on your belly, when you inhale, you're going to use the strength of your back to lift your shoulders, your chest, your head, and breathe out. And then if you're on your belly, see if you can use the back sides of your legs to lift the toes away from the floor. Legs lift straight up and reach back. If you're in the chair, we're going to create the same extension or back bending shape of the spine, just like we did in the cow and the cat, by tipping the top of the pelvis forward, lifting the heart. This time, squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other if you're seated. Keep the gaze slightly forward and up. Make the back of the neck long. Okay, so if you're on your belly, you're really starting to feel the back side of your body fatigue a little. That's exactly what we're going for, is some endurance here, strengthening that back chain of the body. If you're seated, you're going to have to work those shoulder blades towards each other and really tip the pelvis forward to start feeling that fatigue in the back of the body. Take one more breath in. If you're on your belly, exhale, lower all the way down, turn a cheek to the floor. If you're seated, just release the spine back to neutral and rest the hands in the lap. Take a breath in. And just let that breath go softly. And then bring the hands underneath of the shoulders. And if you're on your belly, roll over to your back. If you're in the chair, you're going to stay seated near the middle of the chair. I'm going to turn to face you so that you can see what I'm doing here. And if you had those blocks or books or toilet paper rolls handy in your chair, you might like to have those. On your back, you're going to keep left foot on the floor and bring the right ankle to the left knee. So if you look at your legs, they look a little bit like an upside down number 4. That might already be enough stretch for your right hip, or you might like to bring the left knee towards the chest. Thread the hands around the left leg, and then help that knee towards the chest. Okay. So you should feel some stretch in your left outer hip, right outer hip, but you shouldn't feel a lot of sensation in your knee. So you might play around with whether you flex at your ankles or point at your ankles, and see if that changes anything for you. In the chair, if it's available, the right ankle can lift all the way up above the left knee to give you the same stretch here. If it's not available to lift the right ankle to the left knee, take a block or a book or a roll of toilet paper to the outside of your left foot, and then cross your right shin in front of your left shin and let the foot or the ankle rest on the prop. So we're just aiming for a little external rotation in this right hip, which means your right knee will be leaning out to the side if you're seated in a chair. We want to try to keep the knee, the ankle, and the toes all lined up in the same direction the best you can. And then if you're seated and this is the available range of motion, so if you don't get the knee and the ankle together, but you still need more stretch in the right outer hip, you can add in a bit of a forward fold. So you can start to lean the torso forward, and that'll give you more stretch in the right hip. We'll take one more breath in. And then if you're on your back, go ahead and release both feet to the floor. If you're seated and you folded forward, lift up and uncross the legs. On your back, take your feet wide, and then let your knees swipe from side to side like windshield wipers. And if you're seated in the chair, if you can hold on to the right knee with the right hand, you're just going to wave that right knee back and forth. So pick the foot up off of the floor and just wave the right knee back and forth. And then we'll get set up again to do the second side. So on your back, heels are beneath the knees, bringing the left knee to the chest and crossing the left ankle at the right knee. And then maybe pulling the right knee to the chest, threading the hands behind the thigh. And then adjusting either the flexion or the extension at the ankle based on what is necessary for your body and your knee. In the chair, the left ankle can come all the way up to the right knee, or place a prop on the outside of the right foot and just cross the shins, resting the left foot on the prop. And then adjust the left foot so that the toes, the center of the ankle, and the center of the knee point in the same direction. And again, if this is the available range of motion, but it's not giving you a lot of sensation or stretch on the left hip, you can add a bit of a forward fold. So keeping a long spine and just leaning forward in the chair. Take one more breath in. If you're folding forward from seated, lift the torso up. And then release the feet back down to the floor. On your back, take your feet wide. Let the knees go from side to side. In a chair, hold on to the left knee. Just lift that foot above the floor and wave the knee from side to side. Good, and then on your back, take a long stretch like you just woke up in the morning. A big, good morning stretch from fingertips to toes. If you're seated in the chair, reach the arms up overhead. On your back, you might like to reach the whole right side of the body longer from fingertips to right toes. If you're seated, you might just reach up a little more through the right hand. And then switch sides, make the left side a little bit longer. And then balance out, make both sides equally long. And then if you're on your back, pull both knees to your chest, hold the knees in. And if you're in your chair, release the arms down to the sides. So on your back, you might just hug the knees in, rock a little bit from side to side, or take the knees around in circles for a bit of a back massage. In your chair, you might hold onto your seat, the seat of your chair or the back of your chair, and do just a few more rounds of that cow and cat pose that we did at the very beginning, just to neutralize the spine a little more. So we're making a back bending shape and then a rounded forward bending shape. And then in the chair, just come back to seated neutral, eyes closed or gaze soft, and see if you can settle back into your vision of perfect posture. On your back, go ahead and place both feet on the floor. Option 1 is to take the feet wide as your mat, and let the knees fall towards each other. They may or may not touch, and either is fine. Option 2, if it feels okay in your body, is to stretch the legs forward. If you prefer the legs forward, but there's a little bit of a pull in your low back, you might like to grab a blanket if you had it handy, roll it up and place it behind your knees or even in your low back. So find somewhere that you can be comfortable, and somewhere that you won't be distracted by the sensations in your body. And then take a deep breath in. And when you exhale, just sigh it out, a big, long sigh. And soften the breath. Relax your forehead and the corners of your eyes. Relax around the cheekbones and the jawbone. See if you can even relax your tongue inside your mouth. And soften the throat and the neck, the front of the chest, the shoulders. Relax through the hips, the pelvis. Let the length of each arm all the way down into the tips of the fingers relax. And the length of each leg all the way down to the tips of the toes relaxed. If you notice your mind wandering off, invite it back to the breath, back to the body, back to the experience of this moment. Again, noticing the alignment of the body, the breath, and the mind. And begin to slowly deepen your breath. And invite some small movements into your fingers and your toes. And circles through your wrists and your ankles. If you're lying on your back, you might like to stretch out long, or if you're seated in a chair, just reach the arms up overhead. If you're in a chair, you might take a little side bend from side to side. If you're on your back, stretch one side and then the other. And folks that are seated, just rest your arms all the way down in your lap. On your back, hug your knees towards your chest. Rock a little from side to side and then roll all the way over to one side or the other and press back up to seated. And as you come back up into a seated position, just rest the hands either in the lap or bring them together in front of the heart. And take a moment to bow the wisdom of the head towards the wisdom of the heart. And just notice your experience here. How do you feel physically in your body? How do you feel mentally and emotionally in your head and in your heart? Are the body, the breath, and the mind in alignment? The divine light in me sees and honors the divine light in each one of you. Thank you so much for practicing with us today. Namaste. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed your practice. Thanks for your help, Abby. We'll see you next month. Bye.